Hello, everyone, and welcome to FrennDiagram. This is the podcast where two friends catch up and find common ground between their favorite media. I'm Remy.
I'm Kat, and today we will be wrapping up our discussion of Ted Lasso, originally discussed by Remy in episode 11 and updated in episode 33. Warning, spoilers ahead.
What's up, Kat?
Not much. It's been a big week, though. We just had our Ted Lasso finale. So
yeah, it was a big week.
I'm really excited to unpack that.
Yeah, I started my new job.
You did start your new job.
That's a big thing.
Has that been fun and exciting?
It's been exciting. It's been weird starting a job remotely from the outset. This is my first time doing that, like not starting out in person. So it's been kind of interesting just floating out in space and not knowing what's going on and just doing my best. How was your week?
My week was good. Yeah, just general work anxiety, but not anything unmanageable.
Mm-hmm.
Had to work some late nights this week. I did start one of the novels I discussed last week. I did not start Users, but I did start Seaplane on Final Approach. That's kind of what I was feeling this week, and it is really good so far. I'm loving the just like general design of the book. Like the line spacing is perfect. The font is perfect. And the page numbers are super tiny, which I really like because then I'm not focused on what page I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just really like the book design. Shout out to whoever figured that out at the publishing company.
Was that the yellow one?
No, it's not the yellow one. That's the Supper Club one. The Seaplane book is the one about Alaska. And I said that it made me think of White Lotus, but in Alaska.
Yeah, I'm eager to hear what you think of it, because that sounded like something I'd like.
Yeah. So far, I'm really liking the writing style. I find it, like, very enjoyable to read. The main character is, like, just, like, this funny kind of... I don't know. I don't know if she's a reliable narrator yet, but I'm just really enjoying reading her thought process.
Oh, fun.
Where I'm at right now, she's like making a list of things she thinks are sleazy, and it's like things that you wouldn't think about. So she's like, 4-door sedans are sleazy, and I'm like, I would love to unpack this with you because I find this fascinating.
That's fun.
Yeah, so I'm really liking the main character so far.
Yeah, I gotta get back to the bookstore. It's been too long.
Yes.
I also just need to wrap up my current book so I can move on to something else.
Yeah.
I'm so close to the end.
Nice.
Yeah. You also did a very fun and exciting thing this week at the movies, didn't you?
I did. Yes, thank you. I went and saw Bottle Rocket this week, which I loved. I really enjoyed it. And as I mentioned last week, our local cinema is doing like a Wes Anderson 101 where they show a Wes Anderson film, and then afterwards there's a discussion with he is a film PhD candidate, and he did a great job. The poor guy, they could not get his slides up and running, so he just like gave us a discussion type talk. It was amazing. He took questions fantastically. And he also shared this like introduction to a book about Wes Anderson films that was written by Michael Chabon.
Oh, wow.
And it was so good. Let me see if I can find the quote really quick.
Remember that time you ate his book in your sleep?
Yeah. I was having a weird week that week.
That's one of my favorite stories about you.
Yeah, I was asleep and I fell asleep with my copy of the Yiddish Policeman's Union next to me. And in my sleep, I must have been hungry or dreaming that I was eating. And I ripped out a page of my book and woke up with it in my mouth. So it was a lot.
Wow.
Okay, here it is. Grief at full scale is too big for us to take in. it literally cannot be comprehended. And he talks about how, like, Wes Anderson allows us to comprehend things by not, like, making the moments of grief in his movies, like, too in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was a really beautiful way to say that. Next week, we're watching The Royal Tenenbaums, and then...
That's what I thought. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And then we're finishing up with Grand Budapest, and then, as you mentioned last week, that'll lead us right into Asteroid City.
Yeah.
Which they showed the trailer for that beforehand, and it got me really hyped. I've seen it on, like, my phone, but watching the trailer in a theater just hit different. And
of course.
I'm, like, obsessed with that color scheme recently.
Oh,
like,
really?
I've just been obsessed with, like, that, like, bright pink, orange, and, like, teal color scheme recently.
Okay.
I showed you that, like, tapestry I ordered, and it's also in that color scheme that they're kind of using for Asteroid City. And I was like, this is everything. I'm so excited.
The man can build a palette, that's for sure.
It's amazing.
I'm glad the first screening and discussion went really well. I would wish I could be there so badly for the Tenenbaums one. Even if I could just, like, ask a bunch of questions about Gene Hackman. Come
on! Fly here! You can do it!
God, that would be so fun.
Just get here by Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. And it's really cool because the person who's leading the discussion, his PhD work is focused on animation, and Wes Anderson takes a lot of concepts from animation and applies them to live action, and sometimes animation.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to hear what he has to say about that as we move forward in the filmography.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool. I won't do it justice on the pod because I'm still learning a lot, but...
But did you check out some of those YouTube channels I recommended to you?
Yes, I've been trying to watch one every morning, and so far I've only been successful one day this week. But
well, it's better
an
than nothing.
I watched Thomas Flight's the one about Dune's score. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's not the Why Does Dune Sound Like That video, but I opted for a slightly shorter one, and it talks about all of these motifs that Hans Zimmer uses in the Dune score. And I was like, wow, I never would have picked up on any of this. And it, like, made me cry. I was like, this is so amazing. And so now I'm really excited to view Dune again after, like, watching some videos about the, like, technique behind it, because it's extremely thoughtful in a way that I hadn't realized before. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, Thomas Flight in particular has a lot of excellent content about Dune.
Yeah.
He's got the one about the sand screens and the VFX. He has the one that I sent you and recommended on the sound mixing and editing. That is like one of the best YouTube videos I've ever seen. I've watched it, I think, 3 times now. I just think it's incredible. He does amazing work.
Yeah.
And he recently had this one video out about a modern versus postmodern versus metamodern cinema.
Yeah, I have that saved to my playlist.
It was amazing. A lot of it is kind of constructed around Everything Everywhere All at Once as a key example, so it might be less easy to understand if you haven't seen that, but I thought it was excellent.
I'm really excited. I also like the production of those videos. It must take him so long to put those together. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, he does great work. He has a podcast that he does with another YouTube video essayist whose channel's name is Like Stories of Old. And their podcast is called A Cinema of Meaning.
Yeah, I have some of those saved as well.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. Yeah, I'm definitely excited. And then I've got some saved from Lessons from the Screenplay. Is that what that channel is called? Yeah, I'm really excited about those as well. So I'm going to try to get more in the habit of fitting in one of those as well. And maybe even trying to fit one in on my lunch break as like a dedicated break to learn something new.
I would do that at work sometimes when I was trapped inside and had to find a place to eat, but there's nowhere to eat, so I would just eat alone in the stairwell and watch a video and be like, just talk to me about Denis, this sucks.
Oh,
I know. Amazing stuff from me.
And now you get to eat in the comfort of your own home, your own domicile.
Oh, Kat, why do I admit these things out loud? Well, shall we get into our discussion?
Yeah, I think we shall.
So, like Kat said, we're going to be kind of wrapping up our final thoughts on Ted Lasso as a series, and a bit more specifically, Ted Lasso Season 3, because the finale just aired this week. And so we will be giving some of our thoughts on that, and our thoughts on the series as a whole, and kind of how we think this season fits into the overall arc of that series, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so this was originally discussed in episode 11. If you want to hear Remy's initial discussion on season 1, you can go back and listen to that. And then we updated that on episode 33 once I actually got around to watching it. It took me a really long time to get around to it, but I absolutely loved the first season and found it really, they knocked it out of the park. So, yeah, definitely go back and listen to those discussions if you are new and would like to kind of hear more about the first season, I guess. But yeah, do you think we should kind of start out by just kind of ranking the seasons to kind of introduce kind of where this fits into our general impression of the seasons?
Yeah, I think that'd be good to contextualize it. Okay. Since, we obviously gave our extended opinions on season 1 before, but kind of didn't get around to discussing season 2 on its own before this third season premiered. So in terms of all of the seasons, I would say if I had to choose, the second season is my favorite. I just really liked the way they fleshed out more of the characters that I enjoyed, but only kind of got a small impression of in the first season, while taking other people in new directions and adding depth to people's backstories. I think that was a great strength of season 2. So I enjoyed that one a lot. Very closely, though, behind that is season 1, because I think season 1 is just great. And that's, what hooked everyone. And it was funny and enjoyable and just a refreshing offering in the television space. And then I would say the third season is definitely my least favorite out of the 3. So for me, it was kind of marked a distinct decline in quality. So yeah, I would say 2 and 1 are close at the top, and then there's a drop off before 3, and that's my overall ranking. Yeah,
I will say that mine is very similar. So I would rank them actually in order, with 1 being my favorite, the second season being a very, very close second. I loved watching all of the characters grow. I love that they fit in therapy sessions into the second season. That was real strength. And I think that modeling therapy sessions in a media space was just really valuable for, I don't know. I just think that therapy can seem really overwhelming, and it is really overwhelming, but I think watching someone grow to appreciate the benefit of a therapist is just really powerful, and it kind of mimicked my own journey with therapy, and I just really liked that and found it extremely valuable. So season 2 is a very, very close second, and then like you said, I feel like season 3 was definitely not as strong as the other 2. And I think they tried to take on too much. I know that when season 3 was starting out, they were saying that Jason Sudeikis and the creators of the show really wanted each character to have their own complete arc. And that's just a lot to fit into a season. And there's so many characters by this point that it's really, really hard to like truly focus in on each character. And the beauty of seasons 1 and 2 is that you're following these this set of characters and really exploring them deeply. And I wish that they had done that with season 3, because I just felt like some of the territory they covered here was so like tired. Like, I didn't really think we needed to be following like Keely and Roy and Jamie as closely as we were throughout the season. And that could have left a lot of space for exploring other characters that we don't know as well. And I think that it would have made the season a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I completely agree. I definitely got that like spread too thin feeling across the 3rd season. And because we weren't able to go in depth into like a small handful of characters, we got a more surface level treatment for a lot of them. And I think because it was so surface level, it felt really formulaic and kind of derivative of the show itself, if that makes sense. And sort of like the show becoming too self-aware of what they think people like about it and magnifying those aspects too much to the point where it becomes very unsubtle and no longer deft in the way that I enjoyed previously. Those are like the overall impressions that I got a lot from time to time during the 3rd season. So yeah, I think I'm glad they wrapped it after 3 seasons, which is like something I said even before the 3rd season started airing, because I remember people saying that was the original intent, was to have an arc over the course of 3 seasons. And I think that was like a perfectly adequate length of runway for this story. I'm glad they didn't, decide to drag it out even longer.
Yeah. And although I think that season 3 was definitely the weakest of all of the seasons, like it did have some really standout moments for me. Like I really enjoyed certain episodes. I enjoyed certain character arcs. And like, that's not to say that it was bad or anything. It's just not, I think that had we gone back to basics and done those like really nice micro stories for each character, it would have been a little bit stronger and focused in on some characters that we hadn't seen yet. Like, I think we could have given Colin more limelight and Obasanya more limelight. And like, I think that there was really area to dig into. And they also spent so much time like teasing at things that like fans want or things like that. And like, I felt kind of annoyed with that, especially after the finale. Like, I just kind of didn't see where some things were going.
I guess so, but I will say, having seen the finale, I was generally satisfied with how they rounded off everyone's character arcs. I thought, like, none of them stood out to me as completely out of character, Like, I'm really glad. I guess we should say, double down spoilers for sure for the end of Ted Lasso. I'm really glad Ted went home. I would have been like really incredulous if that hadn't been his end point. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But for example, I think that I liked the finale. I liked the message that we're not going to put these characters together in a relationship just because fans want it or whatever. But they did spend most of the season hinting at certain relationships possibly being rekindled. And it felt like I just wish that they had like cut ties with that and not like dragged it out. Like the Jamie, Roy, Keely plotline was really dragged out. The Rebecca, Sam plotline was being hinted at very heavily in the past couple episodes. Like they were looking at each other during that rom-com movie night. Like it's just, why even bring that back up? Like let them move on. And like, I just didn't understand why hint at it at that point. So I was satisfied with the characters' endings, but I wasn't satisfied with the way we got there, if that makes sense. Personally.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that. Same.
Or, like, hinting at Ted and Rebecca. Even in the last episode, even in the finale. Like, I thought it was funny, but I didn't feel like it was necessary, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean totally. Yeah, I agree. I liked where everyone wound up, even if I thought some of the deftness of the storytelling was lost along the way.
Yeah.
I at least was satisfied with most people's endpoints.
Yeah. And then since I feel like I just want to get like the rest of the negative out of the way, and then we can move on to the pros, because I do think this season had pros that I would like to react to. But I just had two other major things that I didn't like. I didn't like the Zava plotline. I thought that was unnecessary, and they just kind of threw him out after a couple of episodes, and it didn't mean anything to me. I didn't find it entertaining. I didn't find it interesting. And I don't really know what the thought process was behind that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know. I just felt like the Jack and Keely plot felt stressful in a way that, I don't know. Like, it was fine, but I just didn't end up liking it very much. And I also felt like it just didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, like, how did it service the story exactly?
Yeah, I think...
Other than... I don't know how it did, to be honest.
I don't know. It made me feel more confused than anything, and I didn't feel like it really resolved well. Like, there was just no resolution for me there.
Yeah, it just kind of... Like, if they were using it as a device for, like, putting Keely's career in jeopardy... It was just, like, a really strange way to do that, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I don't know what purpose it served exactly.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, I do think it helped Keely develop, right? Because she ends up choosing to not pursue a relationship after that. But I also just feel like she could have chosen that regardless.
Exactly, yeah.
Without having the Jack thing happen. I think she could have just, like, drawn the line in the sand.
Yeah, I don't know... if Jack taught her anything specific about that.
Yeah.
I think she could have come to that same conclusion without Jack. I agree. I don't know. It was just like another extra character that kind of diluted things.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the only other, like, major weakness I felt like I had on my list.
Yeah. I mean, those are all my major gripes.
I think there's a lot of positives to talk about as well. Like, I really liked Nate's redemption arc throughout the series, and I really like the way they handled it in the finale specifically. I think a lot of people were predicting, like, oh, he's going to leave West Ham, and then he's going to come back and take over for Ted when Ted leaves, and I didn't like that. I had major qualms with him taking over the team.
Okay.
Because I don't feel like that would make logical sense to me. Like, I think he does have to, like, earn the team's trust back. I think he does have to work his way back up through the ranks. And I really liked that they had him start back out as assistant kit man. Like, Agreed, Will got to keep his job.
I know.
I love Will.
I love Will.
And I think that we got to see some of, like, the really great parts of Nate again. And I think putting him back in that role just made me see season 1 Nate and remember all of the things that I loved about him in season 1. And that made me really happy. Like, I loved that.
And I really like that he turned the corner on his arc, not because of anything like Ted or anyone on Richmond did. He turned the corner because he realized he had something good going in his life with his girlfriend, and he saw that, like, a toxic person was threatening that, and he chose to safeguard, like, the one thing that ever actually made him feel good and healthy.
Yeah.
And that was how he turned the corner to stop being, like, shitty version of Nate. And that helped him be able to have the courage to come back and apologize and work his way back up at Richmond. I'm glad that it just turned on a different axle, and I think that enriched and added depth to his arc. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I liked seeing him realize by himself that Rupert wasn't the person to give him the validation he craved. Yeah. Because we're seeing like this direct contrast between Rupert and Ted, where in season 2, Nate's major thing was that like Ted made him feel so special and then immediately like forgot about him and dropped him. And we know that Nate has like a complicated relationship with his father, that like he just desperately craves this like fatherly validation. Yes. And Rupert lures him in by giving him that, by saying like, I'm really proud of you. You're really funny. Like, I really like that joke. You should say that at the press conference, and so on and so forth. But then I like seeing Nate realize all by himself that Rupert isn't genuinely that person, whereas Ted was. And I like that he heals his relationship with his dad. Like, I just think that we get to see so many good moments with Nate this season. And that was one thing that I thought was a strength.
Yeah, I thought his aspects of the finale were particularly emotional as well. Like, those really hit for me. Seeing him come back to a place where he feels at home and the relief on his face of having another chance was really touching. Yeah,
and I liked his interaction with Beard in the penultimate episode as well, where Beard invites him back. I thought that was really lovely. And I like that it wasn't Ted. I didn't think that he needed forgiveness from Ted, because Ted had already forgiven him in general. Like, he needed forgiveness from the team, and he got shown that in multiple ways. He got shown that when the guys show up at Taste of Athens, and then he also gets shown that when Beard shows up. And I like that he says, "You're here to kill me."
I know.
It was very good.
I know, and I loved Beard's like reveal of his backstory and everything. Yeah. That was incredible stuff.
Yeah. It was really good, really wholesome.
Yeah.
And I like Jade. Jade is very funny.
I don't know how I feel about Jade. I don't think I have enough information on her to have much of an opinion.
Oh, I think she's funny. I like that she's always creeping. She's just, like, around the corner, like, listening.
She's always doing something weird. I don't know.
But she's, like, a perfect foil of Nate, I think. Because Nate's also super weird, but in a completely different and awkward way. And she's not awkward, but she's also super weird. Yeah. And I think that they make a really nice couple.
Yeah, I'm glad they're happy together. Fictionally.
Another highlight from this season that I really enjoyed was Barbara. I just really loved getting to explore Barbara. She was wonderful.
I also had her on my highlight list.
I just love how fucking weird she is. She, like, wants people to beat each other up all the time. She loves violence, but it's so, like, in contrast with her general demeanor.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I loved it. Katie Wicks just crushed it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie Wicks. I was so happy to see her when she showed up. And so I was predisposed to like Barbara, but I think she just played it so tonally perfectly.
Yes.
And yeah, I really loved Barbara as well.
Yeah. I loved the snow globe interaction where Keely buys her the snow globe and she's like, but I have to buy the snow globe for myself, so can I pay for it?
Amazing.
That was definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah. How did Ted get that snow globe on the plane, by the way? It's definitely more than 4 ounces of liquid. Keely should not have given him that as a present to take onto a plane.
Is TSA the same in London?
They've made me throw out half of my toiletries at Heathrow, so I suspect maybe.
Well, when you fly first class, maybe it's different rules for you.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is fiction, so...
I know, but it's like, as soon as he opened it, I was like, okay, as soon as she gave him a bag and said, open this up when you're on the plane, I thought to myself, oh, I hope it's not liquid. But he opened it up, and of course it's liquid. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah,
that would never happen.
Yeah, it should have been a smaller snow globe, man.
Yeah.
I did like that snow globe, though. I think it's a very cute snow globe.
But yeah, definitely agreed on Barbara.
What else did you like about this season?
What else did I like about this season? I liked Roy and Jamie becoming friends and having their extra training sessions.
I especially liked their interactions in Amsterdam. I thought that was really cute, where he teaches Roy to ride the bike. And like, the Amsterdam episode was kind of hit or miss, but I really liked that part. Yeah.
I just liked kind of rounding that out. And I don't know. Like, it seemed like just a really nice, healthy, mature relationship for the most part.
Yeah. I did like when they got into the fight in the end episode, and then they leave Keely's house and they're like, we're idiots. And I was like, I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
More boys need to realize that they're just being dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was sweet. I really liked their dynamic in Mom City. Jamie's very upset, and Roy and Keely are very worried about him and, like, trying to figure out what's going on. I thought that was just a different and interesting dynamic, and we got to see more of how much people care for Jamie, and I thought that was really nice. Because I think Jamie deserves so much love, and he's done so much growing, and it made me hurt to see him so, like, sad and burnt out. And I love that, like, he gets the opportunity to heal his relationship with his father, too.
I know.
Like, they hinted at that in the final couple of episodes, and I thought that was just really nice to see that people can grow and change and not be abusive assholes for the rest of their lives, you know?
Yeah. They showed him in the finale going to see his dad in rehab.
Yeah.
Which is really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Jamie's arc overall. That was also a really excellent redemption arc.
Yes. Yeah. Through season 2 through 3, we got to see a lot of growth from Jamie. Because I remember in season 1, I was like, I hate this kid. Like,
I know, me too.
The worst.
Well, Phil Dunster, he's so good. He was so good at being hateable. So good at winning you over.
Yeah.
And then so good at, like, just being someone you root for 24/7.
Yeah.
He did a stellar job.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely wonderful. I really liked getting to see Trent Crimm grow and interact with the team over the season. I thought that was sweet. I liked that we got to see a lot more vulnerability from him, because in the past 2 seasons, we've seen him, like, all put together and kind of observing. And this time we get to see him, like, actually being a person. And I liked it. I liked how I liked all of his acting during, like, the Diamond Dogs scenes where he would go, like, ruff. I loved that. I also loved in Mom City when he's interacting with Ted's mom. That's, like, absolutely lovely.
Oh, yeah.
I just think he's so cute. And when he, like, gives them the manuscript and is, like, hovering and, like, wants Ted to like it so much. Like, I just thought it was so lovely and wonderful. And yeah, I was just really pleased with his character this season. I liked him and Roy dealing with their shit. I liked that, like, confrontation in the showers. That was very good. I liked him acting as kind of like a mentor to Colin. Like, I thought that was really nice and sweet. And, like, just being a supporter for him and providing him advice as he, like, deals with coming out to people on the team and just having all of that going on. I thought that Trent had, like, a very subtle role in that and provided a lot of really nice advice to Colin throughout that.
I love Trent.
I like his Snoopy mug.
I like how everyone agreed his hair is amazing.
Yes. But yeah, definitely an enjoyable season. I also wonder if part of feeling like things were more disconnected this season was because the previous 2 seasons I binge watched, and I did not binge watch this season. I know that you watched these seasons as they were coming out, so you kind of had this experience for all of the seasons, but I definitely felt like when I was coming to the next episode, I would, like, have a really hard time remembering what happened in the previous episode. from like last week, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It just,
I know what you mean.
Didn't have as much sticking power from episode to episode, I felt like.
Yeah, agreed. I think it was like sort of the lack of focus is what made it hard to track everything. Yeah. Did you have a favorite episode from the season?
Yeah, I really liked episode 10, which was International Break. There were so many good moments in that season. In that episode, where a bunch of the team players go play for like their home country's teams. I really liked the rivalry between Danny Rojas and Zorro, or Van Damme at the time. And I really liked that. I really liked the monologue that Rebecca does, where they're meeting with Edwin Akufu, the like horrible man that keeps ruining Sam's life. And she like has this wonderful speech where she does this like anecdote about Rupert being a young boy and sneaking into the stadium, and how he grew up to own the stadium, and how we shouldn't take teams and like this experience of having a sport and having something to love and be passionate about from the public. And I think that I just really loved that. I think that the actress that plays Rebecca, her performance in that scene is just wonderful. And I love that it ends with a food fight from Edwin Akufu that we don't have to see, but everyone's covered in food at the end. I love that we get to see this moment of vulnerability from Rupert, because we don't get all that much character development from him, but that's like a moment where you see him as like a real person with real emotions for a second, and not just like this evil villain. And I really liked that. And I guess we didn't really talk about Rupert's fall from grace, but I also really liked how the finale handled Rupert and his like just kind of complete loss of control. Because I don't know how other people felt during that scene, but it made me sad. Like, I didn't realize that, like, I would feel so bad to see Rupert act that way and to see Rupert truly lose. And I think I liked the intentionality of it not feeling good to see Rupert unsuccessful. Like, it just felt bad to watch someone's life fall apart so terribly because of decisions that they've made. And I really like the way they handled that. I like that I didn't feel the urge to like cheer at someone else's lack of success, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah.
And I thought that was just like really well done.
Yeah, that's fitting.
Yeah. What was your favorite episode this season?
My favorite episode was Mom City. The one directly following International Break.
That one was so weird.
I know. That's why I loved it. It was wicked weird.
Oh, it made me uncomfy.
Oh, I loved it.
I love Jamie's stepdad, though. Jamie's stepdad was a highlight of that episode. I don't remember his name, but oh my God.
I don't either. There were so many highlights, but a major one was when Jamie, I would say Jamie is one of the major focuses of that episode because he is having a tough time mentally, and the team is playing in Manchester City, his home city. And so he has to deal with the feelings of returning to that area and anticipating his dad watching him play again after their falling out. And so Keely and Roy kind of follow him to his mom's house, and they meet his mom and his stepdad, and his stepdad is so sweet and amazing and funny. Whoever that actor is, he just absolutely made the best of his screen time. He
so
crushed
tall.
it.
What a
Good
tall
for
man.
Him. Yeah. And they see Jamie's parents and his childhood bedroom and his poster of Roy Kent, which Will and I literally like exclaimed at when it was revealed. And I don't know. The whole thing was extremely weird, but in a way that I deeply enjoyed. And just absolutely loved it. I was like, why are the vibes so weird? Why is it so funny? Why is all this subtext so amazing? I love this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And in that episode, we also got to meet Ted's mom.
Yes.
Who is visiting unannounced, which is a weird situation to be in. And they sort of, I don't even know how to explain their interaction throughout that episode, other than it's kind of tense because there's a lot of unspoken things going on. And it all culminates in the thank you, fuck you speech, which I thought was really good. Like, what a way to encapsulate parent-child relationships.
Yeah.
And I really liked that part. I thought it was good. I thought Jason particularly crushed that scene. I really liked his performance in that. And he kind of addressed a lot of the things in his upbringing that kind of were roadblocks to him emotionally down the line. Yeah. Which was really powerful. And so, yeah, I just thought that was like a really powerful scene. And when it's cross-cut with Jamie and his mom and their relationship, which is extremely close, it was just the culmination of a lot of great mom energy. Yeah. I really liked it. And it also had that confrontation between Beard and Nate, where Beard shows up at his apartment and tells him his story and kind of sets him on that return trajectory. Yeah. And I loved that part because it was stirring, but also quite strange. So it fit the overall tone of that episode. It's like it hit a lot of high emotional notes, but like very weird overall. And I just love that combination.
Yeah. I did like Mom City. I never look at the episode titles before I watch them. And so you texted me and you were like, Mom City was great. And I was like, I don't know what this means.
I know. I should have known not to text it out of context, but I also just liked the name so much. Yeah. I was just like,
it's funny to do it out of context. I was like, I don't know what this means.
I got fired up and I was just like texting Kat, like, Mom City was a banger.
Oh, yeah. Good finale. I definitely cried during the finale. I yelled. So I have never been into a soccer match as much as I was into that soccer match.
Oh, yeah.
In the finale. And I was watching it with Scott over FaceTime and I thought I was muted. I was not muted. And I went, woo! And like threw my arms in the air when we won. And he was just like laughing at me. And I was like, oh, I'm mortified. I'm more mortified that I'm not muted right now.
Good finale.
I think they brought it all together in a way that I really liked. The finale definitely needed to be as strong as it was. So
agreed.
I was really pleased with that. I cried when Sam got to take the picture with the Nigerian team.
Oh my God. Because he was on the Nigerian team. Oh my God. I love that part.
Jamie interacting with his dad was wonderful. I just like loved that like montage of like everyone healing and doing the things.
Growth montage.
Living life.
Bliss montage. Shout out to Lingma. I know. Is there anyone else we need to touch on?
How did you feel about Roy this season?
I loved Roy this season. I love that they let him be weird. I loved his monologue about that bully. It was in like episode 2 or 3, and they asked Roy how he deals with bullies. And he described this really bizarre scenario where he goes to their house and beats them with ropes.
That was good. Like,
thank you so much for letting Brett cook and just be fucking strange.
Yeah, I forgot about that moment. Yeah, I do really like that.
I liked that. I think he got like a little unfocused in the middle. Like I said, I liked his relationship with Jamie, so I liked that through line. And I liked how he repaired his relationship with Trent, like you brought up.
Yes.
Also early on in the season. And I liked his final end point. I like that he became head coach.
Yes.
And stayed with Richmond. That seemed really fitting. I liked that. But otherwise, I don't know if there was... I guess I was expecting there to be kind of a larger turnaround for him. Mm-hmm. But they did address that in the finale, where he has that discussion of, can people really change? Because he's concerned that he's incapable of growth. And so
yeah,
I thought that was an interesting choice. Like, at least they addressed that perhaps he didn't exhibit the amount of growth that a lot of other characters did, but maybe it's a little bit more realistic that he didn't. And I think he still did. Like, he went from being a player on the team, an aging player, to accepting retirement, to rejecting football, to accepting a life in football again, to accepting the leadership role. Like, he went through a lot of cycles of growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I still think Roy's the best.
Mm-hmm. And in that final scene, he's like asking for help from his peers too. True. Which is something that he refused to do prior to that point. Like, he would do it occasionally, but like not, like, I think that was a real turning point for him. And I really liked that.
Yeah. And that's exactly what Higgins points out
in
that discussion. And I was just like, fucking Higgins again with the spot on advice / observation. He has several of those throughout the seasons that I'm just like, fucking Leslie, he's paying attention, man.
Yeah, I love Leslie.
I know, I love him too.
Spilling stuff on himself all the time and being easily startled. If I'm any character, I'm definitely a Leslie.
He's a good one to be. He's like the happiest person.
Mm-hmm. I think he's wonderful.
Me too.
I love I love the red light district. We didn't touch on that, but I love when he takes Will to the red light district.
Me too, actually.
Fucking amazing. That's the best part of Sunflowers. Like, that's my favorite. I think that's what that episode was called. Whichever one were there in Amsterdam.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was my favorite part of that too.
Just wonder that. Yeah, I really hated Ted's whole thing where he like thinks he's on drugs and goes and tastes barbecue sauce and has like a revelation. I didn't like that. That was not my vibe. But like the rest of that episode was really strong for me. I liked that episode. And I know that was not one that you particularly cared for. But I thought the strengths were very strong strengths. I really like the bonding between Will and Higgins in that.
Yeah, I did that. Scene. I think that was my favorite plot of that episode for sure. Yeah, I love it whenever Higgins breaks out the bass.
I love when he's just like air basing.
Yeah.
And, like, just being a fucking nerd. I love it.
He would be such a good colleague to have.
Yeah. Good friend.
Yeah.
My good friend Higgins. Yeah. I think I'd like to watch it all from the beginning again. Not just season 3, but just like all the way through one last time. Just because it always makes me so happy. Like, season 1's definitely a big comfort show for me.
Yeah.
I go back to it a lot.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what each of these people does next as well.
Yeah.
Because this has been like such a great launch pad for many of the actors and writers and creatives involved in the project because it's been so massively successful. So I'm happy to see what everyone moves on to after this.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite character this season?
Other than Barbara?
Oh, yeah, Barbara. Yeah, other than Barbara.
I mean, just my favorites, same as always, like Roy and Trent, for sure.
Yeah.
And then I would say by the end, Jamie crept up there as well. Mm-hmm. Because of that strong performance in Mom City. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked seeing Sam grow this season, too.
I loved his restaurant. That was very pleasing.
I loved
He had such a cool restaurant.
With his dad.
Yeah.
That had me in tears when the light comes on and the dad realizes that the restaurant's named after him. Yeah. I was crying. I was like,
oh my God, I know exactly what you mean.
It was wonderful.
Sam's dad. Oh.
Yeah. I love that we got to see him pinch his earlobe. I can't wait to see what Brett Goldstein does next.
Me too. My eyes are peeled.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I haven't listened to his podcast episode this week yet. I wonder if he, addresses the end of the series or not. I'd like to hear his thoughts on it.
Yeah. I have not been doing that much podcast listening recently, but I should.
Yeah, same. It's been such a crazy week. Mm-hmm. I haven't even listened to our episode this week yet. I gotta get on it. I will tomorrow when I'm making brunch.
Oh, I liked it. I think it's one of our most vulnerable episodes. I feel like I was very vulnerable in it, God. Personally. I was like...
Me too. I was like, should I be banned from this podcast?
I think it's good.
I think it's good too. I think if Ted Lasso has taught us anything, it's that vulnerability is good. Thanks for joining us this week on FrennDiagram. Thank you to Tyler Seek for the creation of our intro and outro music. Did you take any of our recommendations? Have any thoughts on the show? Let us know at FrennDiagramPod@gmail.com, and we might read your email on a future episode. If you can, please take a moment to rate and review the show on your podcast app of choice, and we'll see you back here, same place next week. Bye for now.